how to deal with the atheists who ask questions of the Christians, especially when they're trying to illicitly manipulate, which we do not advocate. And so this is where I think there's a lot of value added, even for the person who has the first edition.
We're here with Greg Koukl. We're riding with Greg, and we're going to be talking about his 10th anniversary version of Tactics.
And by the way, we're riding in my beautiful 2014 F-150 pickup truck, which I absolutely love. Beautiful red truck.
Excellent.
Fab.
Excellent. So now tell us, Greg, this book's been an incredible blessing to the body of Christ. Why having an updated version?
Well, 10 years ago is when I wrote the book, and a couple of things have happened in 10 years. For one, teaching this over all of those years, and I've taught it many, 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 many times, I found out just better ways of explaining the concepts. And I realized that there were some things that I talked about in the book, and I only gave maybe a paragraph to, that has now become much more front and center as an important introduction to the game plan that follows. Speaking specifically here of the whole concept of gardening versus harvesting, I just touched on that, but I have discovered how life-changing this concept has been for people when I talk about it, and how it serves the game plan so much better when you have a different approach to the project that we call evangelism. So I've devoted a bit more time to that so that it lays that foundation and helps to give the reader a perspective of how best to pursue the project of evangelism while using the tactical game plan and the other tactics that are in the book. So that's the first thing. Another thing, I've written a lot in the last 10 years, and I think I've just improved in my ability to communicate. And when I went back to go word for word through the first edition, I kept running across these places where I said, man, why'd you say it that way? Here's an easier way to say it. Here's a clearer way. Here's a more powerful way. So it's just from the craft of writing perspective. As a writer, I just wanted to make it read better, and I think it does. And that part of that is seeing places that needed more explanation. I needed to expand on it a little bit more. I thought of something in the last 10 years that I can offer now that I couldn't offer then. That was a really, really good, would be a good addition to the book. So that's another part of it. So another part is in 10 years of using the tactics and talking to people, I've discovered new maneuvers. I've clarified, I'm just going to take the 15 south all the way to the 8. I've clarified a whole bunch of things that I've done in the past that I used to do, but I didn't really itemize it into a technique. And so I took the time to say, how can I take this and articulate it into a tactic proper and put this in the book? So actually I have doubled the number of tactics that I have in the book, because I've taken these things, one major tactic, a whole chapter applied to what I call the inside-out tactic, and then a chapter of mini tactics where I think I have about 5 different moves that I can explain fairly briefly without devoting a whole chapter to, give a bunch of illustrations of how it works. So there's actually a whole lot more new tactical content. There's not just better explanations of the old stuff. There's not just expanded explanations of the old stuff, but there's a lot of brand new stuff. Excellent.
Yeah. So a lot of brand new content, better explained. Tell us, what do you hope to accomplish with this updated version? I know the last version has been amazing, at least in my opinion, in my life, has been incredible. Like you were telling us, people come to you and tell you, hey, this book's changed my life.
Yeah,
I tell you, I second that, man.
Okay,
that book's changed my life, absolutely. So what do you hope to accomplish with an updated version, with this new tactics and the new way that you have presented some of the older tactics?
Well, there's 2 groups here, and one of them is a person who's never bought tactics before. So with them, I hope to introduce them to a whole new way of approaching what we usually call evangelism. I don't like to talk about it as evangelism anymore, though this is what it is.
Right.
Partly because it recalls a certain very, very precise way of doing evangelism that we've adopted that I think is not that effective in our culture anymore. And I do talk about that in the book. So I'm glad that people who are first introduced to tactics through the second edition, the 10th anniversary edition, are going to discover this new approach. And that explained more clearly than I did in the past, adding more material and new tactics is going to be a tremendous addition or benefit to their ability to engage others for Christ. Okay, so that's the first group, the newbies, and they're going to get, if you pardon the expression, the whole enchilada.
Absolutely,
Okay.
Absolutely.
But there's a whole other group of people out there who have used the first tactics book, like yourself, love the material, have incorporated the things that I've talked about in there into their lives in a way that's become a regular part of their engagement process and has really, really helped them. And I want to take them to the second stage. I want them to start employing some new tactics that will take care of problems that maybe the prior group of tactics hasn't been able to help them with. And it's going to give them more opportunities to be effective for Christ. I mean, simply as that. I also think, and this is a hope that I have, and I know this has happened even with the first book, and I know this has happened with your life too. People who read the book and take that material, they're going to say, you know what, this is communicated in such a way as I can transfer this material to other people. I can't give it all, I can't do it like Greg does, he's the pro, blah, 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 he's been doing it for years. But I can take these basic concepts because they're transferable the way they're communicated in the book. And I can then pass this on, pay it forward, so to speak, to my disciples, people in my group, friends that I have, my local church, my youth group, whatever. And I see this happening all over. And so I want people to do that. I think they will be more apt to do that with a more robust characterization of the tactical game plan. So that I also think will make a difference. I'm actually, tomorrow afternoon, going to be video recording some of the new material so that that material can be added to the existing DVD program that Zondervan has published as training material. Okay, so I'm all of that. It basically just means everything. It's more and better all the way across the line. And as a result, the Christians who benefit from it, even if you have the first version, the first edition, are going to get a whole lot more. 40% new material. There's a lot more in the new book. It's much more hefty.
40%.
40, yeah. And I'm just looking at the word count. 6 new chapters, and I'm the old stuff that was good stuff that's still there, and it's better written, and it's expanded on. But then there's the new chapters that are going to help them tremendously. One thing, by the way, that I did is I expanded considerably the section on defending against Columbo. Now, those who have read the first book know that the so-called Columbo tactic is a question-asking tactic. That's the game plan that helps you to maneuver in conversations. And some people are thinking, and they ask, well, what if somebody uses these questions on me? And so I talk about how to deal with that. But in the last 10 years, there's an atheist, Peter Boghossian, who's written a whole tactical book for atheists. Right. And he is really, really good at using questions to upend Christians in a certain kind of way. And so what I have done with hold on just a second. Okay, I've got to make my lane changes here without killing everybody in the car. So what I've done is with his material in mind, I've given a lot more expanded information about how to deal with the atheists who ask questions of the Christians, especially when they're trying to illicitly manipulate, which we do not advocate. And so this is where I think there's a lot of value added, even for the person who has the first edition. They're going to get new tools that will help protect them against somebody like the Bogosian crowd and his disciples who are illicitly using questions to trap the Christian.
Excellent. So this is an update and an upgrade of the material.
Yes,
right.
A great way of putting it.
Okay. Now, this material, people like me will eat it up. I know the in crowd, the apologists, etc. But this material should be also utilized for the church in general.
Yes, and this is something, I'm glad you brought this up, because a lot of people think of apologetics, and this is related to the apologetics task. Oh, this is kind of a rarefied discipline. It's only for these folk who have the PhDs and the pocket protectors, the coneheads. And first of all, that's a bad impression. It's a wrong and inaccurate impression. But this book is meant to show how friendly apologetic techniques can be what's the word I'm looking for? It can be blended in with an engagement method that is friendly, that is relaxed, that is practical, that there's no lines in the sand. Ideally, there's no fighting. People aren't protecting turf. It's a way of creating a conversation for people that the rank and file, the ordinary people, can employ. And in fact, when I teach this, and I say this in the book, I'm going to make them a promise. And I'm going to promise that they are going to, I'm going to give them a game plan that will allow them to converse with confidence in any situation, no matter how little they know, or how knowledgeable or aggressive or even obnoxious the other person happens to be. And so this is not for the hotshot apologist. This is not for the well-educated theologian. This isn't for the person with a background in philosophy. This is for the ordinary Jane and Joe who simply want to make a difference for Christ. And in the process of doing that, they can have friendly conversations that, and this is another important point, that they are completely in the driver's seat of, all right?
Like you right now.
Pardon me? Yeah, like I am right now. They're in the driver's seat. They're the ones who are guiding the conversation. Now, that does not mean they're doing most of the talking, like I'm doing right now in the driver's seat. That means they're controlling the conversation, managing it, I should say, using questions. And the questions that they're using, honey, could you track me here on my trip to get into the inner city? Because I lost my place on the map here. But maybe I could do it this way.
13B onto Home Avenue.
Where am I turning?
13B.
13B. Okay, so it's ahead of us. So they can have friendly conversations, no lines drawn in the sand, no defending church, just conversations that still turn out to be really effective just by following a couple of simple principles. 13B, Home Avenue, 13B. Right? We're down here in San Diego County, down in the city of San Diego at a conference, and so I'm heading back into the city now. We were just in North County when we started, and so that's why I'm taking more time to keep sure I don't crash on camera.
Right,
that would not be cool. Well, maybe they would think it was pretty cool.
Well, but we won't. We won't think that.
That's right. So I'm glad you brought this up. This is for the ordinary, regular Christian. Where am I going here, honey? Take a right?
Yes.
Okay, because I got a squad car right behind me, so I don't want to make any mistakes here. All right.
That wouldn't be cool either.
Yeah. So where are we going from here?
So the regular Christian, that's the target audience.
Yes, right.
Obviously, the apologists can get a lot out of this book, but the church in general should be able to use this resource to engage in conversations.
Absolutely. By the way, this is going to be good for discipleship groups. This is good for youth groups. This could be for adult groups. This is good for anyone who wants to, and here's the way I put it in the book who wants a bridge from the content to the conversation, from the scholarship to the relationship. You can learn a lot of apologetics and philosophy and theology. Okay, that's good information. But now what? How do you put that into play?
Execute, yes.
That's it. And this
Yes.
is what the game plan allows you to do. In
Absolutely.
a very simple, relaxed fashion.
Excellent. So where can we go learn more about this new edition, and where can we find it?
Yeah, well, like, of course, the quickest way is to go to Amazon. And right now, pre-orders are up, but it's going to be on the 26th, which is a couple days.
Right.
It's going to be available for purchase. Where am I headed, Tyler?
94 West.
Okay, good. And so that's one place. STR.org, that's our place. That's our website, Stand to Reason. And we sell it there, and we're going to make a special on that, and you can get a signed copy probably if
Excellent.
you go there. I can't promise that, but it's likely. You won't get a signed copy from Amazon. And that purchase will help our organization, too. So we kind of get a double whammy from that. Instead of Amazon getting the cut, we get the
Absolutely.
cut. So that's the one I prefer. Those are the two main places. Or, you can go to Barnes & Noble website, and you can go to, there's different Christian outlets that people can get this book available at. It's available a lot of places because it's been around for 10 years, and because of the success of the book, retailers want to offer the second
carry it.
edition.
Absolutely,
Right.
yeah. Greg, it's been amazing. Tell our audience, where can we find you online? Where does STR content lives? Where does Greg Koukl content lives? Where can they go and learn more about tactics and
Sure.
about all of you guys?
The best place is to go to our website, str.org. Stand to Reason, str.org. And you can also go, I do tweet on occasion, and I try to tweet something that people think about. I don't tweet a lot of go here, go there,
Right.
this is what somebody said. It's just not what I do. But I want to tweet a snippet that's going to get people thinking, and you want to pass on to other people, even non-Christians. So I think it's just Greg Koukl. That's my handle on Twitter. And I do have a personal Facebook, which I post on occasionally, but actually Stand to Reason has their own Facebook. That's where most of the activity is. And so that's what I'd suggest that most people do, is they go to the Stand to Reason Facebook or the Stand to Reason website. So I'm
Yes,
getting
stay on
squeezed out of my... I want to be going downtown here, right?
F Street.
Okay, I just
That's how
crank
you
my
kick
big
in, yes.
F-150 V8.
V8.
There we go. All right.
Well, Greg.
Power when you need it.
Yeah. Well, Greg, it's been amazing. I know that our audience is loving it. Just a little bit of an insight on your driving skills and your tactical skills.
Oh, by the way, I also have a radio show.
Okay.
Or podcast is better.
Okay.
Podcast, you can get that at Stand to Reason. You can get that at iTunes. It's just called Stand to Reason. You can get, we have 2 different apps that give you a lot of access to different things for Stand to Reason. They're both free. You can get that at the App Store, and I highly recommend that. And by the way, if you want to learn the tactics, you can read the book. That's great. You got to have that. No, I'm just saying, all right? However, some things are better caught than taught. And so if they listen to the radio show, what they're going to get is they're going to see me using those tactics in action.
Yeah.
And that's where they're going to start to get the organic sense of how powerful these tactics can be.
Fantastic, man.
Left on 4th.
Left on 14th, okay.
4th.
4th, okay. Let's cut that guy off. So.
Okay, so we are at the end of our interview. Thank you very much.
Maybe at the end of our lives here.
Yeah, well, we'll see. If this gets posted, then we made it.
Yeah.
God bless.
Thank you, Jorge. Love doing work with you, brother.
I love it.